Just want to say hello and welcome to this Stronger Together Festival of Co-Production webinar. We're going to explore how we approach co-production at Aging Better in Birmingham. So I'm Dave Coffin and I'm a relationship manager at Aging Better in Birmingham. And the presentation will give you a short presentation first. We'll give you an overview of the Age of Experience group and how we approach co-production in the programme and what the programme was about. And then following that, we'll have that 30-odd minute panel discussion where you'll also be able to put questions and answers to us. You'll also be able to put questions to us as well. So I'm going to start the slideshow. So if you just bear with me. So, Aging Better in Birmingham. Aging Better in Birmingham works to reduce social isolation for people over 50, and it's part of the National Aging Better programme. We hope we've created a new movement for community action on ageing and isolation that has harnessed active citizenship to reduce isolation and prevent it from happening in the future. So that we hope there's sustainability out of the programme as well. Our approach has emphasised mutual aid, community action, and preventative interventions, and the programme has been delivered in partnership with different voluntary sector organisations across the city. So over the past 6 years, so we're now just moving into our 7th year, but over the past 6 years, the programme has supported hundreds of groups and individuals who together have engaged over 9,000 citizens of all ages across the city. We've used a methodology called asset-based community development, which some of you will be familiar with, and this focuses on sustainable development within communities by activating their strengths and harnessing their potential, their assets. We've encouraged citizens to take an active role in connecting people in their local neighbourhoods, and activities they've put on have ranged from organising bicycle clubs, coffee mornings, ballet and bhangra and dance classes, woodworking, floristry, men's sheds and gardening has been really popular as well. There's been quite a lot of allotment plots that have been worked on by groups of people. So the programme has supported the creation of over 280 new activities over this period. Okay, so over 50s have been co-producing from its inception, have helped co-produce Aging Better, and we've adopted an experts by experience approach. And this means a group of older people have lived experience of isolation, and we've supported them to engage with a tailored programme of empowerment and training called Every Step of the Way. And you can see some of the Age of Experience members there in that photo. So, Age of Experience group. So, initially we recruited around 20, a cohort of around 20, over 50 individuals, and they themselves came up with the name Age of Experience group. This group has ensured that older people's voices and experiences have been at the heart of the Aging Better in Birmingham programme from the beginning. They meet every other month and they discuss topics related to ageing, and they've informed the programme's strategic direction and shapes Aging Better in Birmingham's programme's essential elements. Members have contributed to decision making and informed the management, delivery, monitoring and evaluation of the programme. The group broadly reflects the city's diversity, and members have introduced new perspectives and helped us to respond to learning as the programme has evolved. So you can see there an organogram of the project and how it was structured, and I'll just talk you through just how embedded older people were in the whole process. So you'll see there in the middle, Aging Better Core Partnership, which was a strategic oversight body. Older people were represented in that. There were communications subgroups, marketing and comms subgroups, learning and sharing subgroups, as well as legacy planning subgroups. Older people were represented in all of those. There was an Aging Better Fund panel, which distributes micro funds, micro grants to grassroots community groups. Older people were represented there. And just as importantly, in staff recruitment and procurement processes, older people participated in those. Now, just to say, they're quite technical processes. So anybody that engaged in those processes was given the skills and tools to be able to fully participate. So finally then, there were 8 guiding principles that underpinned our approach to co-production here in Birmingham. I'll just run through them now, and they're probably really useful to make a note of. So number 1, older people central to decision making. We asked people's views on issues before decisions were made. Number 2, there was an ongoing process of monitoring and evaluation to demonstrate the difference that every step of the way was making, and to tweak the process as needed along the way. Staff training. So staff were trained initially on how to work and communicate with older people, bringing an understanding to them of some of the age-related physical or mental impairments they might encounter. Leadership, and this is organisational leadership. So the Age and Better programme is supported by strong leadership within BVSC, Birmingham Voluntary Sector Council, who runs the programme, and the wider Age and Better partnership. And leadership took a commitment to recognising that co-production is an integral project process rather than a bolted-on activity. So we're on number 5. So address barriers to participation. So this is about ensuring you have a diverse group of people. So address as many barriers to participation as possible. And we anticipated some, such as culture and language. So language, for instance, cutting out jargon, or where jargon's used, making sure people understand what you're talking about. Physical and mental health issues, which might impair people's ability to take part. Transport, really important, and other access issues. And then things like time commitments, and also timing of meetings and activities. So really simple things like avoiding school run times and rush hours for meeting. Who wants to travel through rush hour? You don't have to. 6, and we'll discuss on this, we'll touch on this later, using different channels of communication. So communication is tailored to the individual. Again, it stops any barriers to participation. And we had a preference on the program for real life interaction to build relationships, and also face-to-face interactions. Number 7, so really understanding the local demographics you're working with is really important, and it ensures engagement is considerate to your local landscape and will take into account things like poverty, health, poor transport. And again, it's to help you really reach out and overcome those barriers. And finally, and probably most importantly, the most important principle is co-production is a continuous process. It's not a one-off activity. It's not an event that's bolted onto the side of a project to say we've co-produced this. It's a continuous ongoing process that should be embedded here, as it was here, in the way Age and Better in Birmingham has been run from start to finish. So that's just a brief overview of Age and Better in Birmingham and the way we've co-produced in the city. If you want to know more about Age and Better in Birmingham, you can go to our website, and there are resources and all the learning from the programme, and that's ageandbetterinbirmingham.co.uk. I will post that link in the chat and I'll find it in a minute. So I'm going to end the slideshow now, and then I'm going to introduce the panel, and then we've got some pre-prepared questions that we're going to talk through. And obviously, again, if you want to put some questions into the Q&A chat box, we'll be able to answer those as we go along as well. I'm going to introduce our panel first off. So we've got Barbara, Sam, Shada and Viren from Birmingham, and they're going to introduce themselves, just do a short introduction. So if we start with Barbara, if you want to introduce yourself to the audience.
Yeah, sure. Hello, you might have seen me in the same jumper. I'd realised it in the previous slides. My name's Barbara Platts. I'm a member of the Age of Experience group. I've always believed that community-led initiatives are very good for all of us, and I've really enjoyed my participation in Age and Better because I've always felt that my opinions are listened to, and I've never been, you know, when this David talked about jargon. I've always felt able to challenge what the hell do you mean by that sort of thing, and find out about those sort of stuff. I've got to meet a hell of a lot of people from Birmingham that I wouldn't have met, and you know, I know it is such a wonderfully diverse city, and I've got to know lots of people that I wouldn't have met without my involvement in the programme. And there's the Spring Forward events that we had, and all the different events that we've had, very diverse, amazing sort of activities. And I've been on a few visits to care homes and that sort of stuff, and educating people on the requirements of older people. I think it's been great. So, and yes, the test and learn subgroup, they all the subgroups, as far as I'm aware, have a bottom up approach and listen to the participants and act on what they think.
Okay, thank you, Barbara. That's great. Sam, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, hello, my name's Sam. I work for Groundwork West Midlands, and we are contracted by Age and Better in Birmingham to coordinate the Age of Experience group. So that is the group that Dave has briefly introduced to, and who the other participants are members of. So it's my job to ensure that the members' voices are heard and that they're always adequately supported and trained, so they're able and confident to take part in a number of opportunities that the programme has available.
Thank you, Sam. And Sharda and Viren, I see you on the same screen now. If you could introduce yourselves.
Yeah. Hi, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Sharda Lavingya, and I'm a member of the Aging Better in Birmingham for quite a few years. Since I've been a member of the Aging Better in Birmingham, I have been involved in many opportunities, such as I sit on a steering committee and also a planning webinar, and I was involved for most of the year on a lockdown, setting up, giving ideas as a carer, as a local citizen, what we can do for the launch of the toolkit. I have also attended the national event, national webinar. In addition to the Age of Experience group, I was also involved in various community groups and activities, and I am involved in a co-production for a statutory of Birmingham here. I am very much enjoyed working with Sam and her smooth and calm leadership. And if it wasn't of Sam, I don't think I would have been here or to know about this. And also our national coordinator, Vicky, they have been for me and Viren's encouragement tool, as a carer full-time and in a lockdown. They both gave us a lot of encouragement, and Sam always encouraging me to attend all the meetings and phoning us last meeting. And I'm very, very grateful to be able to be part of this webinar and the toolkit for Birmingham. Thank you, Sam, and thank you, David.
Okay, thank you, Sharda. And Viren, could you introduce yourself?
Yeah, hi. My name is Viren Lavingya. I've been a member of Age of Experience for a few years now, and I have, although in the background, been part of the meetings, all the planning of the webinars, the launch of toolkit, everything. I'm assisting Sharda in the background, and I've thoroughly enjoyed myself. I felt my voice was heard. I was given opportunities. I was involved in everything, and and Sam has been very encouraging and inspiring, and that is one of the reasons that I've been part of this group, and looking forward to the rest of the afternoon today. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So we're going to move into kind of some questions and topics that we've kind of pre-prepared that explore, again, kind of how we've approached co-production and the older people's kind of the process they've gone through. And also, if you want to ask any questions, if you just drop them in the chat Q&A, and we'll incorporate them into this next section. So the first discussion topic, the first question is, and this is to everybody, why is co-production important? And we're just going to move through the panelists one by one. So I guess we'll start with Sharda and Viren. So why do you think co-production is important?
I think co-production I feel it's important for me, as it involves everyone, the professionals, the citizens, especially the carers. Carers' voice is heard, and so everybody has an equal input. And on top of it, the decisions are made from that co-production, the result of the co-production, and that is what I really like about it. And until I came in contact with Age of Experience, I never knew about co-production, and now I'm aware of co-production, and I now know the benefit of co-production. So
Okay.
I'm looking forward to more and more in the future.
Thank you.
Yeah, and for me, co-production was, I used to help, statutory organization, but actually really sitting on a table with Sam and Vicky and juggling all our ideas and reminding them not to use jargon language that was put into practice. And the co-production was like me as a carer, a person with a long-term condition, the staff, everybody was involved, and our voice was heard, and we gave ideas and we gave our input. We had staff, we had carers, we had people with long-term condition, and we had all the professionals, and that makes this very, very special. The way, how this co-production we have done for the aging in Birmingham is brilliant. Thank you for having us in this project. Thank you very much, Sam.
Thank you. Sam, do you want to add to that?
Yeah, so from my point of view, I think co-production is just really important for ensuring that everybody's voices are heard, and so that the people that are affected by the decisions that people want to make are involved in that as well. So I think that's really important. Also, in my experience, co-production helps to make people feel valued. So, you know, you get a lot more out of people when they've contributed to something or they've had their voices and opinions heard. You just get a, you know, a better approach and a better outcome from using co-production.
Okay, thank you, Sam. Barbara, do you want to add anything to that topic question?
I think it's what's been said has been said very well, actually. I do think that a bottom-up approach is so important when you're looking at community activities. So it's, you know, I never feel that I've been judged or I've been sort of painted with a brush, if you like. Always people listen to you if you've got your opinions, and I also have learned a lot of other people's opinions, you know, because the other people within the Age of Experience group, and I've learned a lot of different ways of approaching different things. So I think co-production, bottom up, and listen, and that's certainly what's happened in Birmingham. And yes, the jargon thing is another good thing that's been addressed, if you like, because it's hard sometimes to understand that sort of foreign language, if you like.
Thank you. Okay, then, so next topic question, and we'll start with Barbara this time. So what value do you think older people have brought to Aging Better in Birmingham? So this is really for the experts. So what value have you brought or have you witnessed?
Yeah, well, certainly what I've witnessed is the points of view of local residents. And quite a lot of the people on the Age of Experience group are social people that work within their community, and they know their community more than an expert would, and they're able to contribute, you know, very valuable sort of information about how to step forward with an initiative, with something that's new. And I think as well, because they're older people, they have got a lot more older people as friends and colleagues and that sort of stuff. And that helps as well. I don't know if that's, you know, that's useful, but I think it does.
Thank you. Viren and Sharda, do you want to give us some examples of value that older people have brought to Aging Better in Birmingham?
Yeah, I feel our experience really, all the experience, all the things that we've gone through in our younger age, you know, and that's a valuable thing. For example, both of us have been dealing with social services, occupational therapists for the last 15, 20 years, really. And so really that experience of, you know, expert by experience, as you called it. And that's, you know, you can't get any more expertise from an experienced person. And I feel that, you know, contributing to meetings like this, Age of Experience in Birmingham, and providing my experience, sharing my experience, I feel I'm helping people. And that's what, you know, that's so important to me.
Okay. Sharda, do you have anything to add?
Yes, I think for me, you know, like as you know, you are young, we're not aware of what's going on, and when illness hits and you become aged person and you got all this pool of experience with you, so you can share on the table and guide others. Look, I've gone through that. Oh, don't do things like this. You can talk about diet, you can talk about food, you can talk about exercise as we become aging person. You know, those are very important to share. And you become expert, you know, and you become more mature, and you want to help in your community, you know, you want to share the experience in the community. And this Aging Better for Birmingham is a very beautiful platform to share. Amazing group, I would say. Very amazing, you know, beautiful. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I've got a follow-up actually. I guess this is for Barbara as well, if you want to come off mute. So maybe if you could give an example where one of your contributions, or you've witnessed a contribution of older people from Age of Experience that have positively impacted the programme activity, so instigated a change or made something better or work better.
Well, you know, we're talking about things like activities. getting age of experience members to say, oh yeah, why don't we do this? Why don't we do that? And it's something that, you know, I've often had members of staff say, oh, I never thought about that. Yeah, I suppose we could try that, couldn't we? So, you know, it's using people's experiences to contribute to the diversity and the program activities. I don't know whether that's useful.
No, that's great. Thank you. Okay, then. So, who wants to explain the difference between co-production and consultation? That's an open to all of you.
Well, consultation is about, yes, we're thinking of doing this, and this is what we're going to do. I hope you think it's all right. that's it. Whereas co-production is, what do you think we should do? You know, what do you like to do? What do you think would suit the you know, how do we find out what people want to do? You know, sort of because you in your area. So it is bottom up again, sort of asking people what they want, or if they don't know what they want, how would you find out from other people what they want? You know, from other people who could be sort of users, if you like.
Okay, that's great. I think that answered that quite succinctly. Brilliant. Thank you. So I guess next question, and this is for all of you again, and maybe we could start with Sam this time. So some of the challenges you've experienced in this co-production process that we've all undergone. So I just wonder, Sam, from your perspective, what were some of the challenges?
Yeah, so as a coordinator of the group, it's a fairly large group. So at maximum capacity, there's 20 people in the group. So that's 20 people with 20 different experiences, 20 different opinions. So yeah, that can be difficult to manage at times. And again, maybe because people are slightly older as well, we all fall into our little ways and our routines the older we get, and we become sometimes a little less flexible to change our opinions because we're more set in our ways the older we become. That's just human nature, I think. So that can be a challenge sometimes to, you know, make sure that everybody's opinion is heard and respected. But what we've done really well within the group is developed a set of ground rules. So from the beginning, the experts were involved in writing some ground rules and understanding, you know, what they wanted from the group, what they wanted from other participants. So although you might not always agree with what your colleague might say, that's absolutely fine, but you do so with respect, you know, so there's always mutual respect amongst, you know, the expert. And it makes it interesting as well to have, you know, different people. That's, you know, that's about society and community. We want different people. We don't want everybody saying the same thing. You know, it's nice to have challenges and people have different discussions and opinions on topics as well. So that's been really good. Obviously, it's a challenge sometimes to ensure that the experts have the confidence and the skills to attend the opportunities. So Dave mentioned at the beginning that some of the opportunities can be quite technical or can require a specific skill set. So it's my job then to support and encourage the experts to take part in those opportunities, maybe to provide additional training or mentoring if that's what they need, so that they then feel able to go on and do the opportunities that are put before them.
Okay, thank you. That's really good. Do you want to go next, Sharda and Viren? Do you want to add anything to that?
You go for it, I'll go.
Some of the
For me, you know, challenges were, you know, when I had joined the group as a steering group, it was very welcoming for me, and also especially coming from ethnic minority in Birmingham. And there were some activities which I felt they were there, but I felt that, example, you know, Bollywood dances and things like that were not happening. And it happened. I said, we don't have this kind of activities, and it took place, and I was so happy. I was really, really happy. I felt, my God, my voice was heard, and that even inspired me more. Sam would encourage us all the time, and if there were any challenges, we were able to share it on the platform here. No, Viren?
Yeah. I feel coming from face-to-face meetings and into technology, Zoom, initially it was, you know, I would count it as an obstacle. You know, you have to get used to the technology again. You know, when you do face-to-face meetings, you're not using Zooms that much, but suddenly, you know, you started meetings on Zoom and everything. And, you know, and An aging person like me with condition, it's sometimes draining, but we get used to it now. It took some time, but we both of us thoroughly enjoy our Zoom meetings now.
I mean, still, like for example, your computers are not updated is a big challenge. You can't overnight get updated computers. So that digital issue is still there, but we will come over it. We'll come over it soon.
Barbara, do you have anything you want to add to that topic?
Well, yeah, I mean, I did I was a buddy with people learning about computers and stuff, and I think that's something that's been impacted a little bit by the pandemic, but there's still people there. I mean, certainly people like Sam are on the end of the phone if you get stuck on something, and so I don't think you ever feel like you're alone, if you like, when you're not too sure how you turn this on or switch that off or write that, there's always someone there at the end of the phone or sort of at the end of the text to help you out. So I think although it's been difficult times these last 18 months, we've certainly had the support that we've needed to carry on in what we do.
And thank you. I think it's really useful. One of my notes was jargon, and I know we've mentioned it before. And what I found quite amusing was I saw some new people coming into the Age of Experience group, and some of the people that were originally were starting to use some of the jargon that professionals use. So then they had to check themselves and start speaking in plain English again. So I just think it's so easy to fall into the trap of using acronyms and buzzwords. Just constantly trying to get back to plain English is really, really important to make sure that things are open access for everybody. Okay, so next question, this really one for Sam, and it's the importance of communication, particularly for this group, and how you use communication in co-production.
Yeah, communication just in general is really important, but in my role it's key to ensure that everybody has a clear understanding of the opportunities that are being presented to them, and also of their expectations of me as their coordinator, and also in return my expectations of them as well. So again, we have a very informal but like a members agreement. So if someone new is joining the group, we'll have a sit down, or nowadays we'll have a Zoom meeting, and we will go through, you can expect this from me, and in return, I expect, this from you. These are kind of things that you can commit to and that you're happy with, so that we make sure that everything's clear, that the foundation is set and everybody understands where they stand. And also with regards to communication, one thing I would say is don't make assumptions of people. Like now we're very much in a digital world, and we think that everybody can just click onto Zoom or everyone can access an email, and that's not always the case. So what I've had to learn as well is, get to know people individually. Some people like a phone call, some people require a letter, some people are okay with an email. So it's understanding what is the best form of communication for them, because then you're going to get the best response out of them as well. So blanket emailing the whole Age of Experience group doesn't work, because there are some who won't look at that email for 5 days. Maybe they don't have the internet at home. So it's about understanding what is the best method of communication, not for me as a coordinator, but for them as individuals. And if that means I have to go out of my way to do something that might take a little bit longer, like write a letter or have a 10-minute phone conversation, instead of putting together an email that takes me 30 seconds, then so be it, because then I'm going to get a better response. They're going to feel more valued and then contribute better to the programme or the activity overall.
That's really useful information, Sam. I wonder, could you just tell us about the newsletter that you produce as well? Because I think that's quite a good way of talking about communications.
Yeah, absolutely. So as Dave mentioned at the beginning, bi-monthly we meet as a group, usually face to face, but now obviously via Zoom. And on the alternate month, the programme team produce a newsletter, which is a members newsletter. And that's evolved quite a lot as the programme's gone along. It used to be very much programme staff led, and it was kind of informing the members of what was happening in Birmingham, what was happening in the programme. But over the later years, it's taken a different direction, and the members are encouraged to really contribute to that newsletter. So again, that's co-production, because the members are sharing with their peers. So this webinar, for instance, in the next newsletter, I will ask Sharda and Viren and Barbara to write a piece about their experience of being part of this webinar, and that will sit in the newsletter. We also do member questionnaires as well, so every month a different member gets a Q&A slot at the end of the newsletter, so that you get to find out a little bit more about the members and the people in the group. And again, like I said, not everybody has that in an email format. Some people have that delivered via post through the door, and again, that's fine. It's again just understanding that not everyone can access, you might be able to read an email, but opening an attachment with a PDF document is a different story. So maybe it's best if we pop that in the post and then you can just refer back to it at your leisure.
Okay, Sam, that's really useful. There's another question that's really for you, and it kind of touches on what you just discussed, and it's about thinking of working as a group. Why do you think it's important to get to know people as individuals and work with people as individuals, even though they're a group? And how does that enable that collaborative environment that's been key to the success?
I think it's really key. I like to think that I have an individual relationship with each and every member of the Age of Experience group. There are little things that I know about different people, and I think that really adds value to me and to them as well, because it shows to them that I've taken an interest. You're not just another person in the group, you're an individual in your own right, and I think that's something that we as humans really value as well. I know in my work life I don't want to just be a number, I want to be Sam, and I want you to take the time to get to know me a little bit, so it's kind of you treat people how you would like to be treated, and for one, the stories that these guys could tell you and the experiences that they've had, from my point of view, they're fascinating people, so to get to know them is a real privilege from my point of view on a personal and professional level. But it also helps from the point of view of the group. When I get to know people, I can identify then where their strengths or their weaknesses lie. So how do they need support, in which areas are they best supported, or which programme opportunities would better suit that individual. Whereas if I don't know them individually, I can't do that, I can't make that decision, and we end up with quite a blanket approach then, and just the same kind of people agree to things, and there may be people who are interested, but you always get quiet members of the group who don't necessarily want to speak up, but that doesn't mean they're not interested. Whereas if I know they're a little bit quieter, I'll take the time to have a one-to-one with them and say, would you like to be involved in this opportunity? Here's a little bit more information about it. And 9 times out of 10, after they've had a separate conversation, they will say, yeah, exactly, we'll give that a go. Yeah, I'll give it a try. I also hold annual reviews with the members individually on a one-to-one basis. And the purpose of that is, again, to check in with them on an individual level. So whilst the group is performing brilliantly and it's doing its job, so to speak, for the programme, it's so important that the individual members are getting out of the group exactly what they wanted, that they still want to be part of the group. They're not just doing it out of duty, that they're still getting out the reason, that they came in. It's really key that it's a two-way relationship.
Okay, no, that's really good. Thank you. Next question, we've got just 2 left now, really, or 3, and some closing comments. Again, so if anybody in the audience wants to ask anything, now is kind of the time. So this is really for the experts on Age of Experience. So what motivates you to give your time to the co-production process? So maybe Barbara, you could answer that.
Well, I haven't got much of a family. I've been retired now for 8 years, and I find that contributing to community is great for my self-worth, knowing that you're making a difference. And certainly I feel that I've made a difference with the group, even if it's just sort of making someone feel relaxed and calm about coming to meetings and that sort of stuff, but also putting in your views on how we should do something, and making that sure it's a bottom-up approach. So it certainly has helped me sort of feel more confident about myself and feel happier about what I do and what I contribute.
Okay, no, that's great. Thank you, Thank you, Barbara. Sharda and Viren, do you want to give maybe us some examples of what motivates you to give your time?
Yeah, sure. Again, it's the involvement in the co-production and whatever, everything that we do here, Age of Experience group in Birmingham. and I feel I can contribute here. I have been, part of some groups. I mean, I'm not too keen on many groups, but this is something that I like, and I like to get involved in because I feel that my voice is being heard. I can make a difference, and I've been in groups before. What put me off was it's a consultation thing. So you're given a choice of A and B, and then they go with C. So it's really nice what Sam is doing, and also Vicky. I mean, I know all about the meetings and everything. I've always been sitting next to Sharda, so I'm fully aware of all their planning and all the hard work they put in. So that's an inspiration for me. That's what motivates me.
Okay.
I think Viren is saying that he was there, but for me, age of this experience group has helped me a lot, and Viren's support. If it wasn't of Viren, I don't even think I would be able to, log in, log out. But what motivated me was Sam. I remember Sam saying, "Sharda, can you write this article?" And as a carer article, this many words. So I find a good time for myself, and I'm writing in a draft form. And then Viren checks it, and then we send it to Sam. She checks it back, and so many articles we wrote like that, and I really started to enjoy that. And so because Sam, like one-to-one conversation, and somehow Sam comes up, Shanda, would you like to do some teaching relaxation, and there's some opportunity for you. And I'm so surprised the way she brings it, like because one-to-one communication she must have picked up a lot of things. And I said, oh, okay, I've never done, in a lockdown, and my skills are in a pending basket. So all my skills were opening up and my skills were developing. And that was a great motivation for me, teaching relaxation. And also, like me and my husband, we don't have any children, right? So we were involved in a community group as well, and saying, oh, why don't you do this? Come to this place, come to this meeting. And I would bring few of my friends with me sometimes. And what motivated me, I also go to a lot of meetings, and people say, oh, you're not from this area and you're not from there. And when I was approached to sit on the steering committee, it was I felt so welcoming, steering committee, citywide project, and really gave me a great motivation. Very, very thankful to Sam and to yourself, your project, and Vicky as well.
Okay.
Actually, recently, I was teaching, Vicky phoned me, Shada, can you do some dancing with relaxation? I said, yeah, okay, I'll make something up. And I did that. So that is such a beautiful motivation. What more? And when little things, like this makes you happy, you can give so much in the project, in your Aging Birmingham, you can give so much. And I feel like I'm getting better, getting recovered,
Good. That's good to hear.
Thank you so much.
So we've got like one question left or one topic left, and then a closing comment. So really, it's again for the experts, just to give an example where your involvement in this co-production process at Aging Better in Birmingham, where you think you've had an impact as an individual. And again, I think we touched on it before. It's very similar to one of the other questions, but yeah. I don't know.
I think we were involved from the beginning. We used to have so many meetings, national level, and with Sam, and we used to meet, so many meetings we had. And I was just thinking, what is this toolkit? I had no idea. And then the educational started to flow. We were given training, and they were told us. So I thought, wow, what a, it was like dream coming true. And it was that kind of a meeting on the table, meeting Sam, her staff, Vicky's national project, her staff, was very, very mega motivation. And I will take this forward. Taking forward is, by working here, coming to the Aging Better Birmingham, I got a little casual job. So all this webinar which we have designed, I will share with the students in Birmingham.
Okay, no, that's great. Barbara, do you want to add anything where you've made an impact?
Not a lot to say there, really, because I think Sharda, as somebody took, really, you listen to, and I've been involved and I've contributed at various sort of meetings and that sort of stuff, and I feel that I have been listened to, and that I've made changes, so that's really great, you know.
Okay.
When we talked about events and stuff, we were given a proposal, but we said, well, why don't we do this? Why don't we do that? And we were listened to. So yeah.
No, that's great. So final closing comments then and this is open to everybody. It's why should our audience co-produce? And I guess if start with Sam.
Yeah, for me, it's a no-brainer really. You should definitely co-produce. It's really rewarding on a personal level. Like when I took on this job and met the group, I never expected it to be as rewarding as it is, and it is really rewarding. And you get a lot out of seeing people grow as well. You know, the confidence that they have. They start at the beginning, oh no, I can't do that. Then they're on the stage delivering a presentation, just from, you know, a little bit of encouragement. So it's amazing, you know, what putting in a little bit of time and effort can really make a huge difference to people's lives. And you just get a much more commitment, more sustainability from a group of individuals if they're involved, like the project's called Every Step of the Way. If you involve them right from the beginning, they're invested in it. They want it to be a success just as much as you do. So they're going to put in just as much work, if not more work than you, because it's personal to them now. And also working with people with lived experience really brings a whole new perspective. You know, Dave and I and the group itself as a programme team, the programme wouldn't be this programme if it wasn't for the Age of Experience group, because we simply don't have their skills and knowledge. You know, we haven't done what they've done, we haven't lived their lives. So it's really, really valuable.
Okay, thanks, Sam. So Sharda, Viren, why should our audience co-produce? Do you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, everybody should definitely co-produce to make a difference, and you know, to make themselves more involved.
And like, you know, this aging group is an example. Have people with long-term condition, have people who are carers, all, you know, aging and staff sit down together and hear us what our needs are out there, rather than, you know, organization or charity saying, oh, this is what we are doing, this is what we are doing. But, you know, coming from an ethnic background and generally, you know, they don't know what our needs are. You know, if our needs are not met, then we won't use the activities. So it is like using this toolkit as an example, and let all the organizations set an example like this. I would like to see that, you know, more of this kind of working environment would be much better.
Okay, thank you. Barbara, do you want to finish off? Do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I just think it is. It's great. It's customer consultation, isn't it? You know, and the customer's always right, but you don't know what the customer wants until you ask them what they want. And you know, and if then that's co-production to me. It's actually using the customer to actually work out what size they want. You know, whether they want some jeans or, you know, whatever whatever it is. But yeah. And I think that's what the group does. That's what this program does. And to be honest, yeah, without the likes of Sam, we would struggle. But she's brilliant at what she does, in using all of us, if you like, and keeping in contact with us all as well. That's great.
Thank you for those insights. And the last thing to do really is thank the panel for their contribution and their insight. And having worked on the Age of Better programme, I think probably know for about 6 years in one way or another, I can say that I've always known that older people have been central to it all the way through. And I think it's been quite inspiring to work with them all, really. I guess if you want to know more about the co-production toolkit, I believe it's going to be launched at the end of the festival, and it'll be an online tool, and it's got resources and information from across the 7 different, I think 14, sorry, different Age and Better programs that have taken place across the country. And each program, it's a test and learn program. Each program around the country did things slightly differently. So obviously there'll be lots of different perspectives and insight in that toolkit, from all those different ways of working. So I think I've seen a kind of preview of it. It's going to be absolutely fantastic. And if you, as your organizations, want to start using co-production in your processes, you'll get all the information you need from the toolkit. Well, that's it. Thank you for coming, and really good to talk to you all.